Hey there, this is John, your lovable GM, and you're listening to Demon Dayz, an actual play podcast where they focus on fiends and the friends who play them. Want to quick give a shout out to our sponsor Arknight, whose props, maps, and minis make our table a delight. They've been with us since the beginning, and we love them oh so much. Also want to give a shout out to KiloWhat, who's done the artwork for our show. Our heroes have never looked so good. We'll put all those links in the show notes. And lastly, I want to thank you, our listeners, for being so patient with us as we continue on our bi-weekly schedule. I promise we'll be back to our regular weekly programming very soon, and we'll keep you up to date in all our socials. Without further ado, let's jump into the game, shall we?
Friends, fiends, and everyone in between. When last we spoke, I regaled you with tales of everyone's favorite horny heroes, and how they kicked a flower's ass. Well, it was a gross flower that ate undead corpses for energy. Have I said ew? Because fucking ew! I have a big mouth. I shouldn't leave it open that long. Anyway, they got rid of that bullshit plant and now find themselves face to face with a weird painting. And we should just get into it, right? Something, something, ale, something, something, Demon Dayz.
Going from dark vision to a little bit of light down there, it doesn't disappoint. Vibrant colors, contrast, great contrast, amazing hues, and just the richness and saturation in the color. If you look at it long enough and kind of go cross-eyed, it could almost feel 3D, and just the way it handles its color and depth.
How old does it, with my eye for detail, John, how old does it seem? Knowing that this place has got hundreds of years of history.
It's in the frame so that you can kind of start to tell the wear and tear. As you kind of run your hands along it, the frame is thick, but it's old and it feels not as sturdy as it used to be. You can trace along it, and it's a combination of wooden and metal frame, and even then it's just like the parts aren't as concise anymore. And there's been repair to it, and you could sense that it's maybe not as old as the cathedral, but maybe 60, 70 years, similar to what you noticed from the statue before. So this particular thing is fairly newish compared to everything else.
So this is another one that this is after the Raven Queen. It seems like around the same period that the Strike Force would have been here, John. Similar to the aging on the Dark Guard, the Black Guard that we found.
Yeah, around that time.
Yeah, I'll point that out to everybody.
And then Feder, you also notice that on the bottom, as you run your hands across it, two things. To the left side of the painting, because you're doing the whole thing, you're just kind of giving this the once over on the sides. On the left side, there seems to be hinges.
Sure. On
the side that you notice of a painting. Hinges on a painting, weird. The painting itself is not exactly flush with the wall and thicker than most paintings.
Mm-hmm.
Also, when you get to the right side, you notice that there's a hand grip on the painting as well. And then there's an inscription on the bottom, but it's something in a language you don't understand.
Anyone who reads better than me, at least not in, we got language here. Anyone want to check this out? Secret Door Gang, very exciting. Anyone want to, you guys check at that. I'll look for traps on this thing before we open it, and I'll do a trap check.
I mean, if we have time, I can comprehend it.
Yeah.
It'll take me a bit. But
I'm gonna put my torch out, everybody, just because if we're gonna open this and somebody's gonna be on the other side, I don't want us giving us our position away.
Sure.
So he'll put the torch out. John, is the theme of this painting anything akin to the mountain where we first walked out of, with all the art and murals and stuff on the walls?
But that was all devilish history, right? That was very one-sided.
Yeah, very one-sided and a lot more accurate.
Right. I'm sorry. I'm talking artist-wise, craftsman-wise.
Oh no, it doesn't match up. The use of color, the fantastical nature of it, seems a little bit less. It seems much more fantastical than Devils would have come up when commissioning sculpture or art, anything along those lines.
Is there anything that would make me feel elven motif?
No, not really.
Okay.
It's a little too stark for Elven.
Okay.
Yeah.
Especially given the statue you saw and the way a lot of even some devils and demons like to do a historical flow. Same with elves. That seems to be a pattern that you're noticing through a lot of ancient art.
If it were Elven, I would have been able to read it too.
Yeah.
19, checking for traps or triggers around this hinged door painting.
On the door, you don't notice any traps. There's no mechanism other than opening the door.
Okay.
I mean, your spidey sense is like, well, there's got to be something here. So you feel cautious nonetheless. There's like, maybe the door isn't, but you feel a sense of caution.
Okay. All right. Well, careful goings here, gang. No traps on this, but it seems like we're heading into something someone didn't want us to find. So I'll entrevu to Taz to take a look at whatever's on the placard.
Well, it's gonna take me, like, while everyone was doing that, I'm still from my journal kind of like reciting things.
Is it
because it's a ritual?
It's a tenor?
So I have to do a tenor. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll toss the rest of the room while she's doing that. See if there's anything in these boxes.
Most of them, you get nothing, and the wood breaks apart. Buried deeper underneath one of them, there's one that's in fairly good condition and not as ruined by time. And you do find at least 2 bottles of vintage wine.
Sure.
I'm going to go back and just watch the other side of the stairs while everything's happening since we're making noise.
And Sunny's going to chill over near the piano area. And yeah, Feder, you do notice that the husk of the piano, with some care and some craftsmanship, could be restored to its former glory.
So as I'm like finishing up, I'll take some, because I mean, it seems like there's a lot of dust and debris and stuff. I'll grab some soot from the ground and kind of like wipe it on my forehead, in a little like half moon symbol. And then I'll take a little bit of stuff from one of my pouches and kind of dust it across the written language that's on the frame.
Okay.
And then I will put my hand on the frame, and that should allow me to understand what is written there.
Yeah, you go through the motions, do all the stuff, and one by one the words start to form meaning, get meaning to you. And you get the phrase, "Only fools rush in." And when you look at the painting and back to that, it's certainly a critique.
Well, yeah, so it apparently says only fools rush in.
Right.
You checked this for traps, right?
I did, but something feels weird. Something feels off about it. So, I don't know, maybe, do you want to, before we head further down, do we check the rest of the floor, see if there's a switch somewhere that opens it up?
I think that's a good idea. Maybe take a step back, look around.
And then come back to the secret door. Sorry I'm so meticulous about this, gang, but...
It literally is saying, fools rush in. Do we want to be fools?
Yeah, so maybe let's check and see what else we can find before we end up going in through the outdoor. You know what I mean? All right, so I'll head back up just with, always head on a swivel back towards the main hallway.
Okay.
I'll kind of let Feder go ahead of me, knowing that my stubbornness of just kind of being used to exploring on my own is probably getting on his nerves.
Oh, that's fine. It just, if something blows up, it's not my fault. I guess I'll head to the next hallway that I see. Well, actually, if I see both doors here, like the door to the north on the left side and south on the right side, I think I might go south.
Okay.
Just to try to see if it matches up, knowing that, a floor beneath us or 2 half floors beneath us is that room, and that, yeah, I'll try to map the math in my head of what the greater structure looks like in a 3D sense.
Okay. And yeah, as you go down the hallway, you do notice that it's a whole wall to the west side where you would assume you would look and see a door leading down or something else.
Yeah.
It's just straight wall the whole way.
Okay.
And then to the east, to your left, you see more stairs. It's ascending to another tower. So you've counted 3 so far at like equidistant distances, and you're like, okay, there's probably another one somewhere too to the north.
To the 4th one to the north. All right, so this just goes up, and I'm like, all right, I'll turn around, just back everybody up. All right, steps to tower number 3. I guess I'll go north and see what's to the north side there.
See books.
Yep. You pass by the hall, and immediately you see books, and you're like, oh,
The second I see books, I'm like,
Yeah, there goes Taslin. That's fine.
and I go rushing in. Total like
Yeah.
bad library moment. Like,
Magnus rushes in.
So yeah, I'll same thing, full investigation, eye for detail in the room.
Yeah. Go ahead, and then, yeah, you all notice that tons of books. Well-stocked books. Good condition books.
15.
15? Okay, yeah. There's no, like, traps or anything nefarious. This is a library, and a very good one at that. Even the table itself seems to be in good condition. Mm-hmm. And you said eye for detail?
Yeah.
The table looks repaired, newly repaired.
How new? Like same time frame as everything else? Like in the last less than 50 years or so? Like
Maybe even less than that, yeah.
okay. Oh, this looks new. Like fairly new.
I'm
Like much newer.
scanning the bookshelves, and I'm like, wow, magic and relativity, managing mischief. Oh, these are good books.
Yeah.
I do have a couple books that stand out to you, Teslin. The first one you come across is Abjuration Demystified.
Ooh.
It's a book of abjuration spellcasting theory that aims to simplify foundational concepts and apply them to intermediate and challenging spellcrafting. This particular one could be useful to you, but you'd have to spend some time in it to see what you find. There's just so many other books, so you keep going like, okay, that one's cool, take.
Yeah, I'm literally just like pulling books up, putting them into the bag of holding. I will take them with me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone else who's in there, you guys are just seeing Taslin is a new person almost, just book.
Yeah.
Yusuf is watching all this, and he kind of walks back to the doorway and kind of looks down and up and back at Taslin, and he kind of steps out and walks up this way a little bit.
Yeah, you start going north on the hallway, and you find another room, and you start to go into that. Taslin, another book you find is Adept Arcanum. It's a book of spell theory and runs the gamut of very specific spells, most which seem to be for sorcerers and archmages. But there's a lot more theory and ritual crafting. You could probably glean some stuff here that might not necessarily match what you would normally get in your class. So that seems like there's some extra things that you could actually pull rituals from. And you also notice there's a whole row of a series called the Anatomy series. And you open it, it's like, A is for Aarakocra. B is for... And it's like just various anatomies of various different humanoid races and creatures. Detailed. Drawings, diagrams, down to the very specifics. And each book is its own letter.
I pull T for
Okay.
obviously. I pull E and D.
TED. And you do notice that there are two that are missing. And judging from the way things are, it's B and M that appear to be missing from this shelf.
B and M, okay.
Yusuf walks up about 10, 15 feet and sees inside of the next room, and he's like, yeah, no. And then he comes back down and waits in the doorway. He's like, how's it going? How we doing?
Yep. You saw something, and I will explain it in a moment.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, you saw something. And then Taslin, the last book you find that really stands out is The Half-Hand Guide to Vampires and Vampirism.
Oh, love it.
A compendium and lore book from the halfling explorer Hansel Halfhand.
Oh, boy.
The books here are great compared to libraries you've explored in various villages and towns. Like, this is some good Arcanum shit.
I don't know. My paladin written book on verse erotica is pretty great.
Yeah, that is pretty great.
So with the eye for detail check in there, John, no pull a book, open a bookcase sort of shenanigans in there?
Nope. You do notice that similarly that in the Anatomy series that there are two books missing.
Two books
and the
missing.
letters. You glean that pretty much passing it by B and M.
B&M.
You also notice that there should be more dust in this room than there is.
Right. This has been used recently. Yusuf, you seem agitated. What's going on?
No, nothing. It's fine. I just poked my head out, and well, there's a big room with a lot of shit in it, just about 15 feet that way. And he points through the wall.
Okay. Well, I will. I'll start. Should I sneak up there? What do you?
I mean, I walked over it. I'm assuming that was a statue I saw, John.
Yes. Sonny is like, yeah, he kind of clanked his way over there and made a lot of noise. So.
All right.
I was like, there's no real reason to sneak. There's another statue, but the room itself is interesting, and he just starts kind of walking behind you.
Okay. Yeah. I'll when I get up towards the end, I will sneak in there and.
I like see them walking, and I just kind of like look at the books and then look back at them and then look back at the books and go, I'll be back.
Friends, I'll be back. Don't go anywhere.
Okay. We'll camp here tonight.
So I'll slowly work my way, kind of peek in and start sneaking in to that room.
Good solid room that's defendable by one entrance you can read.
Yeah. Feder, as you get in and you start sneaking, you realize there's no reason to sneak and you let off your guard. You're like, the room is uninhabited.
Okay, I'll get up and walk in, yeah.
What you do notice, though, is that the room itself is hexagonal and sparse, except for a decent-sized table in the middle and 6 marked runic spots on the floor around the walls. And then on the table are some skeletal remains, and standing over said remains is a stone statue of a tall humanoid figure with a tentacled face. This figure looks like it was in the middle of cutting open whatever was on this table with a knife, and you see a few things on the ground, like a cracked sphere that looks like in Dis, Feder, you guys have these things like mechanical globes of the continent that just spin around for amusement, not education.
Right.
It's not specific to Dis or the Hells. It's just you guys have some. They're neat. They're trinkets.
Right.
And you see a couple books strewn about down there as well. From where you're standing, it's hard to see what those are about. They're closer to the statue, and some checks would help you guys get more detail.
Oh, look, a ritual chamber.
Yeah, I'll do the old eye for detail check in here.
Okay.
Start by, I'll just focusing on the remains and the statue. Let's do that.
Okay.
16 on the die means 25.
Oh, nice. Eye for detail.
And I'll point out the globe too. Now, is it a small handheld globe or is it like a mounted, like classic Fallout 4 desk globe?
Yeah, it's a classic Fallout 4 like desk globe that was knocked over.
Yeah.
From the way its trajectory to the ground and its shatter, you realize that maybe the globe was supposed to just be on this table.
Right.
And that whatever this tentacled statuesque creature was, used it instead for whatever it was trying to pull apart. And you get that vibe in the stance. You've seen this before, even with your family, as they've cut into victims, interrogated. It's kind of the way the elbow is out and the arm and the wrist is curved in with the blade to give it some leverage to cut through. And judging from where the bones are and how they're placed, there's no like skull or anything like that, but you do see that like it's closer to here around like kind of near the throat. It looks very methodical, scientific.
What can I glean about the skeleton? Like any racial tinges or
tall, similarly tall, and it's not a bone structure you're used to seeing in a humanoid shape. There is no head, but you do see more like cartilage-like spikes, so that seem to be where like the head would be, like a brain stem.
Okay.
Sort of thing, but just like kind of hardened with time and deposit, and they're flaky, like pieces of like a shed skin.
It's some properly weird shit. Anyone know what that thing is? I'm assuming I don't, unless I do. And I point to squid face.
John, would I have seen one of those in the Hells anywhere?
You might have given your training.
All right, I'll guess I'll do a history. I mean, just for the diss of it all.
Okay.
Just for the diss of it all, Jesus.
That needs to be a shirt with Federer's face on it.
for the diss of it all.
Just for the diss of it all.
That should be. Ow, that's a great idea.
Yeah. It's a 5. I'm not quite. I don't know.
History of a 17.
Oh, okay. Yeah, just enough.
I got an Arcana of nat 20 when I walked in, just saying.
Oh, okay. So here's how it plays out. It takes you a little effort, Yusuf. You're kind of examining, like, I know this. And as it comes to you and you start to say it, Taliesin just walks in and looks at it like, oh, illithid.
I was like,
You guys look at each other like, what?
I've seen a lot of shit. What is an illithid?
they call them mind flares. That's how we always referred to them as, but never to their face. They're
squiddy guys. They like to hive mind and assimilate people. Yeah.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, they're slave masters. Like, that's probably where the name came from, is these guys.
Well, hold on. Based on the bones and looking at this scout, like, is there any way that I can tell, like, where this tableau fits in the timeline, John?
Judging from the stone, and with some help, you do determine that it's very similar to
the statue and the painting, the whole thing.
The paladin statue, very similarly aged rock.
Okay. So Yusuf, what is your blackguard doing here at the same time as this thing? Because let's say if this is one incident, right? It all these things got turned to stone, but also, like, why didn't this skeleton get turned to stone? So it must activate off of a life force, I'm guessing?
It might have only affected living creatures. That would make sense.
Yeah.
He looks around the room again. He's like, Taz, what are we standing in? What is this?
Also, Feder, just to backtrack slightly on your search.
Yeah.
As you asked the question, you managed to see that there is a cracked glass vial tucked on the other side of the table where the statue is. It was a kind of a blink and you miss it sort of thing.
Sure.
And you're able to retrieve that because you noticed that as you were asking this. And you know some books that have a B and an M inscribed on them, on their spine, as you turn them over.
I'll offer those back up to Taz. Be like, just so you have the whole collection.
I'll start flipping them open to see, like, if there might have been any indicator of what it was looking at in particular.
Yeah, you notice a bunch of the pages toward the front of the one with the B are bunched together as if like maybe a slimy hand had tried to pull pages to the right thing.
Awesome.
As imagine illithids don't do books very well.
No.
And that's the thing you got, because the pages are bunched up and scrunched, and whatever the slime on their hands would have crusted on the book. But the page it's on that's crusty is interesting.
It's not hand slime.
It's labeled basilisk. So that's the first one you see.
Mm-hmm.
The similar thing towards the middle of the book for the M is both sides are spread open, just as it's trying to try to get to a page, and you see Medusa, heavily annotated, crossed, marked, limbs, arms crossed with the X, throat and like near neck, check mark. Mm-hmm. Or as best as an illithid could do a check mark.
Well, it was definitely researching creatures that can turn to stone.
And got turned themselves, so...
Backfired experiment?
Yeah. Like, does this long body with the weird neck and head thing, could this have been a Medusa, John?
You could infer that.
Maybe it was a chimera of sorts? Like they were trying to combine a basilisk and a Medusa?
Sounds like a terrible idea.
Right. So he was fucking with this Medusa and got turned to stone, and it's fine for him. But, like, what sort of Medusa could fry an entire castle? Like, that's crazy, right? And also, like, Blackguard and Illithid together? That's super weird. Am I crazy? That's weird, right?
I don't think whatever this was alive. Usually Illithids try and they're weird. They're like scientists, in a sense.
Right. I can appreciate that.
And so if it was experimenting on it, or I feel like it would be more of a dissection, then
sure,
which might explain why it's a skeleton and not a statue, although Medusas and basilisks tend to be immune to their own
bullshit.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you make of the circles, Taz?
What would I have gotten on that? Technically, I would have gotten a 25 on that Arcana roll.
Oh, yeah. So then for the circles, you recognize them, especially from your early days and that dance you did with Feder in the beginning. These are teleportation circles, just the way the runes are organized. Mm-hmm. The thing that's unique about them and weird, though, is that each one the runes seem to be of a different character set.
They all go to different places.
Either different places or they were set there for different people to arrive to.
Oh, okay.
Actually, roll quick Arcana check just to...
Dirty 20.
Dirty 20, perfect. You know that anyone with a teleportation circle spell themselves, they don't need to start from a teleportation circle. That helps, but it's mostly ideally used for arrival points.
It's like a landing zone.
A landing zone, and what you're seeing is that there's different language runes on each one. And quick, Tesla, what languages do you know?
I speak Infernal, Abyssal, and Elvish.
You recognize one. Oh, you recognize two of them. One is Infernal, and one has Elvish script. And then Sunny pipes up like, hey, isn't that Dwarvish? On one of them.
It looks like these are teleportation rings, and I kind of like give Feder a look, and I'm like, I still owe you 4 symbols, wink wink. But they are, I'm not entirely sure if they're for places or if they're for specific people, but they are in various different languages, it seems like.
Right. What do the ones that you can read say?
What would they, I don't know if they would say any particular thing, would they, John? Because they'd just be magical symbols, right?
Right, they're runic symbols, so they wouldn't necessarily equate to a word.
So arcane language in the language of that person.
Yeah.
but it doesn't say like to Sky Point.
No.
Okay.
It doesn't have a specific name or anything. It's just runic symbols in that particular language.
Right. And in general, yeah, you would have the three types of language. There's written of that language, there's spoken, and then there's runic. And the runic wouldn't necessarily associate to a word. It'd be like fus ru da or jojota tota ta, like from Elder Scrolls, right?
Sure.
It doesn't. They're not words. They're incantations of various characters. So that's
cool. I had a thought, and it took me all the walking around in here. So we're underground in this place. There's no windows. What are the wall sconces look like? Are they magic? Are they torches? I'm like, seems like we need to turn the power on in here. Yeah, like.
I think that might be a bad idea. Well, just because if there's power...
Yeah, we obviously don't want to... Well, I'm saying either at some point we got to get out of here, right? Like,
well, yeah.
We're not going to live here forever, but...
I'm curious if whatever... Here's my thinking. And he walks over to the Illithid. John, is he wearing any type of heraldry that would tie him to the Hells, like that he works for somebody there?
Nothing like that. But from what you know of Illithid, it looks like a senior, prominent, older member. You can start to see some age dictated in the things they wear. They're generally pretty unified if they have a one-mind thing, but this seems like a more individualized Illithid. So there is some stylistic choice in his garb. That you can glean that from the stone, not color, but more ornamentation. There's style.
So we got a free agent here, Yusuf? Is that what you're saying?
Just really quick, while they're kind of doing that, I'm going to stop and take a minute I'm going to take another 10 to cast Detect Magic.
Okay.
And what did I note about the wall sconces, John? Thinking back through all the other rooms and things we big in, were they torch holders? Were there braziers? Were there, light up magical somethings?
As you think back on the wings, the places you've been, specifically like corners or rooms, there weren't like torch holder sconces. They seemed like they were looked like it was a torch in there, like something that could be lit, but maybe magically. In the Nexus and in the halls, you notice that there was more like standard sconces that could receive a torch.
Right.
But the ones that are more specific to areas, there's nowhere to put like a piece of wood that's on fire.
Right.
But there's a thing that could have fire. So, through deduction, you think, oh, maybe they could only afford it for the more specific rooms, and they cheapened out on the main Nexus, right?
Right. Oh, it's dark as hell in there. Like, I mean, I guess everybody's got dark vision, theoretically, but...
You sense you could probably get some leeway with the thaumaturgy.
Yeah, we could all I forgot that I could just snap my fingers and turn on any of the sconces in here. But I guess we're better with the dark vision at the moment.
Well, no, light is fine. You said turn on the power, and it made me a little... So, here's what I'm thinking. If they were working on some type of experimentation, pointing at the table, that has to do with Medusas and basilisks...
Sure.
And everyone is turned into stone...
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if there was some type of meltdown, if that would have, I don't know, triggered an explosion inside the area that emanated out from points at the table.
Right.
Maybe a particular point.
Here or somewhere else, but that's a big boom. I mean,
think about where we all met.
Sure. True. Interesting.
I'm wondering if they were trying to weaponize it to an extent to use in the war.
Right, to try to get it off this continent, maybe hit half of somewhere.
Well,
God.
This would be a hell of a thing to lob over the lines in Avernus.
Oh, sure. Yeah, true.
But that being said, I think something went wrong and one went off.
During this conversation, it's about the 10-minute mark or so, Tazlin, you were doing the detect magic spell, right?
Yeah, so essentially I'll be able to detect the presence of magic within 30 feet of me. It's like a faint aura, so I can tell if it's a creature or object that has magic and what type of school it has, if it has any.
Okay.
One of the main things is that if there's 1 foot of stone in between me and the source, an inch of metal or lead, or even 3 feet of wood or dirt, it blocks the spell.
Okay.
So I can't sense the whole place if there's thick enough stone.
Okay. You don't catch anything outward from this room, but you do sense some faint magical aura, active magical aura from within the Illithid statue. Similar to how Yusuf was able to detect a fiendish quality in the stone for the paladin. You wouldn't be able to do that if it was just inanimate stone. You sense there's some active magic in the stone, but the bones on the table have faint residue of it, like a stain, not an active thing.
Is it the same magical signature or different?
Different. The statue of the illithid is different. Yeah, they're both different from each other.
So there's a possibility that whatever's in the stone statues is still alive.
Still kicking? Right, like our friend in the cathedral.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the demon. Or the devil. Yeah.
Interesting.
Because the bones are fading. That isn't.
Awesome. So if we find a big giant, like, unpetrify everyone switch, let's not throw it, yeah?
Taslan, after he says that, you do hear a faint, in the back of your mind.
Hello?
Awesome. Yep, it's still alive. That's for sure.
Oh, fun.
Hi, how are you doing? Little stiff?
Who are you talking to? You talking to him?
Yeah.
Or is he talking to you?
It repeats hello again after maybe a minute.
I hear him and I kind of tap my head and I'm like, he's right up here. Whatever.
But Taslan, it's pretty rudimentary. You don't get the sense that he's hearing you so much as like...
Distress signal. SOS.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, when I was like feeling a little stiff and it just kind of repeated it, I go, okay, yeah, they are maybe just sending out a signal. They're not.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if they are actually hearing me. It definitely has a sense that we're here.
Right. Well, you weren't kidding about the mind shit.
Yeah, no, not at all. Not in the least. They are potent.
They really get in there.
Okay. So getting back to the main hallway, John, is there more?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So I'll creep back northward in this hallway.
As I leave, I just kind of look back at the illithid and I'm like, don't go anywhere.
Oh my god.
So it doesn't get it. Yeah, Feder, you immediately see to the west, to your left, as you're going down the hallway. Almost immediately from there, stairs that descend down into what can only be a hold. The unique feature here is that all the cells are in the ground and grated, and that there are torture implements and prison implements. There's some keys off to the wall, off to the side, but as you poke around, this is empty. There's bones in these cells. There's nothing in here. A lot of bones in these cells, actually, but
sure.
Other than that...
Any statues?
No, but there's a torturer's rack in the far end that doesn't work anymore. With a little bit of finesse, you could get it back to working condition, but...
Yeah, I'm gonna, I'll just like, as I peek down in each one of the cells, I just want to do an eye for detail for anything that jumps out at me in the room or anything special about the nature of the prisoners that are in there. Like if the bones belie either a racial trait or anything like that.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So, not great. That's a 13.
13?
Yeah.
A lot of them elude your specificity, but you do notice in one of them, the furthest one back toward the torture rack and toward the north a little bit, you notice that there's a wooden toy horse.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, this one had a toy horse, so either they have younger proclivities or they were not yet of age.
Awesome.
I can't really tell racially who these people were. What time period, John? Similar, or older?
It's harder to tell for this.
Okay.
Yeah, especially just because there's so many piles of bones and they're all so different from each other. You could logically infer that maybe that just over time the function of a hold was used to its fullest in every iteration of whoever had this place.
Fun, exciting. I guess I'll come out and just keep heading north.
Okay. And yeah, you get to the end and you find some stairs going back up to the fourth tower in this wing.
Right. More towers. All right. Well, it's almost tower time, unless we find something else back in the main hallway.
Did we finish going east? Back at the main, did we finish going east?
I mean, depends if that vine is. Oh yeah, there's a rock wall, right? Like I walked down here and I guess we didn't. So yeah, I'll head back to that main hallway and keep heading east.
You see that there's another door to the south that opened. It's broken. Half of it's broken off, so you can see inside, and it's pretty obviously a mess hall room. Mm-hmm. Its functionality is mostly stripped away and gone. It's pretty bare, but there's broken tables that you can kind of tell, like, oh, this is where the food was for whoever got to eat here.
Right.
And immediately, Feder, when you get in there, you're like, there's nothing of interest in this area. It's just stripped clean,
Okay.
apart from the broken tables.
So I'll follow Taslin to the south, because again, I'm trying to do that math, because underneath us, theoretically, should be the other half of that door, right?
Roughly.
The painting door, theoretically.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll go back behind there. I'm assuming it's probably a kitchen of some sort.
Yep. There's a storage room in the far back, and then
Yeah.
a hearth kitchen in there.
Okay.
It's stripped clean, but usable. You notice that the hearth is intact enough to where you could use it.
Okay. Well, might want to get a fire in here at some point. Is there anywhere in this room or other? I just want to look for any like hatches or trapdoors or anything that would head down.
Do a check.
Okay.
Which side did you guys go to?
South.
21, John.
You don't notice anything. The ground is pretty static. This looks very basic in functionality.
Right.
No tricks or traps or anything like that.
Well, it seems like our options are proceed to the towers, go to the basement, and very carefully pull that door open, or head back and see how that vine's doing in the western end. Thoughts?
I'm actually really curious about what's behind the frame, the picture. Yeah, door number 2.
Behind door number 2, it's a brand new car.
And yeah, Sonny also says, I'm pretty curious too.
All right, LNZ then. We'll head back there and see what's going on. I guess take up positions and I guess very slowly open it up. I didn't see any traps, but there's probably a ton of bullshit on the other side, so.
Is there a handle or anything on the...
Yeah, there's a handle over here. And I'll go back to where the little handhold was.
Is it something you can actually grip, John, or is it just a little, like, place for your fingers to go to get grip?
You can get a full hand in there. Like, you can get some leverage to pull.
I was like, okay, so I'm going to take out my rope of entangling. I'm going to tie it on one end. We're going to come over here. Actually, I'm going to come over here and take this table and lay it on its side and drag it over here by the piano.
So, John, which way do the hinges open? Is it on the east or the west side of the door?
The hinges are on the east side, if you're looking directly at it to your left, and then the handle's on the right, so you'll be able to pull it. But you do notice that it's similarly heavy to the doors.
Out front?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm on the right side to leverage this thing open.
Yeah. I'll have Sonny come in there just to give you a hand. Yeah, she's got like a 17, so she's
stronger than me.
Crouch in the northeast corner, kind of away from whatever's gonna blast out of there.
Remember, only fools rush in, so...
Yeah, once we get this door open, I think I'm gonna go in nice and easy and see what we see.
Righto.
Okay.
So we opened the door, nothing happened?
Nothing happened. It makes a groaning noise, and you can see inside it's some kind of vault. And the first thing you notice immediately is that there's a humanoid statue in the middle.
Right.
This time a tall, burly barbarian type. Stereotypical. Like, you can imagine the blonde hair and the reddish beard sort of thing. You also notice that there's a bunch of piles of gold and silver, as well as a couple bars and gemstones. So there's some money here. And I think, Feder, you would be able to kind of count first that you estimate a roughly around, with combined totals, about 1,000 gold, 500 silver, and 10,000 copper pieces. It's a lot.
I'll just stand kind of in the threshold and I'll let them know kind of how much money I think that is.
And Feder, too, sorry. You notice something off about the ground, like little tiny holes just as you step in the threshold. You notice some holes around.
Okay. Are there patterns to them or are there
grid-like
holes in the ground there? So I'm going to scan the room, do my eye for detail check for anything hidden objects in the room.
Okay.
Natural 20, so that's a 29.
Apart from what you immediately had gathered with the pinpoint holes in the ground, you do see seams on the ground that are a little bit more pronounced, as if the floor is a bit disjointed from the walls. But also there's creases where like a floor plate could have been. You're noticing that maybe it's not quite a stone like anyone might initially think going in.
Right. Can I see a path, like a clear path within the, like, okay, that's got holes in it, that looks like it's not totally moored to the walls. Is there ones that look like the places where you're supposed to walk?
You don't notice anything. The pinpoints on the floor are all patterned. There's no in between them. It's all very it's the whole thing.
Okay. Can I do a check for traps to see if I can find a triggering mechanism?
Yes.
Oh my god, 19 on the die. So that's a 26.
26. Well, yes.
It's that rogue shit. That's why I'm here.
You're still at the threshold, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So then you kind of kneel down and you can kind of, with one of your daggers, pry at the plate a little bit. The one closest to the threshold is probably the weakest. And you can sense that, like, it doesn't come apart, but it does move and, like, jostle a little bit as if it's weight sensitive. And you're able to essentially figure out that the mechanism involves some sort of pressure or amount of pressure.
Right, gang. So I feel like all of these plates are similar to the one that I pried up, and it's not like one mechanism I can disarm or put back in place.
Right.
That each one of these is probably on its own.
Yeah. You do notice, though, the statue. It's facing you, and he looks like he's in a run.
Oh, like he's trying to run and froze? Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Was he caught in there by the basilisk wave, or is it part of the trap?
Is there any sort of lip around the wall, John? Like if I tried to, like, the floor is lava, like climb across the walls without putting too much pressure on the floor, does the creased plates go the whole way up to the walls?
They go the whole way up. The only reason you know a gap is because they're slid under the stone wall a little bit.
All right, so I'll point out, like, these are all on kind of spring plates, pressure sensitive. There's either spikes in the other end of those holes or some sort of gas. That guy looked like he was trying to run out of here. I mean, I don't weigh anything. Can anyone float? Any floaters? I'm tempted to, like, take a running leap at the statue and try to, like, if it's a full, and try to, like, perch on it. Does that make sense? Like, Neuro 2 walk lightly across the first plate, jump the 5 feet, and then, like, hold on to the statue. Because it's obviously hasn't triggered anything. Oh, do we send a bird in? Do we send, I don't know. What do we think? Throw out a handful of ball bearings?
I mean, I guess my question is, do we need to worry about this right now? Where are we going to put it?
I guess, John, I'll do another eye for detail and see if there was anything else in the room, any triggers, flips, switches, big diamonds that say, please take me, something like that.
Well, all the diamonds say, please take me. Like,
sure.
Why not? Right. But go ahead. You can do your roll if you want.
23.
23. You don't notice anything else that would be like, pull this gemstone to activate the trap or anything like that could trigger it. The only clues you have are just that, yeah, he was running back towards the doors, and that these are pressure plates that seem to be sensitive.
Okay, but nothing sticking out of a pile of gold that seems particularly of interest.
Nope.
Isn't a sign saying victim here, victim here?
Yeah. Right, so big bag of money if we need it, but I think we're going to have to do the dance to get out there and pick it up. I don't know. Should we try to see if... Wait, there were barracks back in the, near the forge, right? If we wanted to bed down for the night?
Yes, there were.
Or do we want to check the towers out? How do we feel?
I mean...
It's like 3:30 in the morning.
Sleep, maybe?
Sure, yeah. The barracks are probably a good place to go.
Okay. Well, maybe try to get a fire going?
Unless one of the towers would be... Are there barracks in the towers?
More kush. I mean, who knows? Could be more giant plant monsters or frozen illithids.
That's true. Let's go to the bunk room.
Okay. So yeah, I'll head back towards there, try to get comfortable, maybe thaumaturgy some sconces along the hallway.
Okay.
With these individual rooms, John?
Yeah.
Like, do they have doors or do they just have like cubbies? You know, is it like Orange is the New Black, or is there actually a hinged door on it?
It's a doorway, but it's the doors have been since broken off, and they're like little mini rooms.
Okay.
So you're kind of towards the southwest wing, kind of in that barracks area that Taslan explored a little earlier. And yeah, they're rooms. They're basic rooms, and they have doorways that once had doors.
Are the beds still intact?
They're a bit rotted and old, and you're not gonna stay warm with any of them, and the cushion is as hard as the floor.
Right.
But you do see that there's still forms of the bed. They're not going to benefit you in any way.
I mean, we could go back to the mess hall and sleep on the tables. I don't know if that's going to be more comfortable for a bedroll.
Well, If we're gonna sleep on the tables, I'm gonna go back to the library.
Oh, sure.
That was kind of my next thought, because that's a larger room and there's only one way in.
Ah, fantastic. No, that sounds great.
And it's upkept.
We'll head back to the library and get one of these big, comfy leather chairs.
Yeah, one exit to protect is a little bit easier than all of the exits everywhere.
Yeah. Kind of what I'm thinking.
And I'll thaumaturgy up any of the standing lights in here.
Sure.
John, are these bookcases like sturdy enough to move? Like, could I come up here and slide it down so it covers the doorway and gives us a door?
How dare you disrupt those books?
Says the woman who already pulled some off the shelves. Calm down.
That's appropriate disruption.
I'm just moving the bookcase. The books are still going to be there, waiting to be read.
Yeah, those particular ones, you notice that they're not as moored to the wall as the other ones. So the bookshelves that are closest to that entryway into this place, that are kind of like their own little one, like they're not moored into the wall. So you could push them. You'd have to take some care and do a strength check just to make sure that you don't break these shelving.
Yeah, that's probably not going to go the way I want it to.
I mean, we're good, right? Someone stays up, the rest of us go down.
Yeah. No, we're good. We're good. We're absolutely good. As he walks out the door and goes back to the mess hall, he's going to grab one of the small tables and bring it in and put it in front of the door, just so that we have a little bit of a buffer if something does try to come in.
Invasion of undead plant people or something.
Right? So he'll put it right there in the doorway.
Yeah.
You thought Audrey 2 was bad. Wait for Audrey 3.
A library's as good as a place as any to rest and keep watch. And this is as good a spot as any to say bye-bye for now. Aw, don't worry. As long as you keep the ale coming, you'll have no problem getting more story from me. There's still so much to tell, and it's quite the doozy. Anyway, let's do this again very soon, here, in these Demon Days.
21. Go down into the south. There's a door on at the eastern end, right before the rock collapse. There's a door that heads south. That's a mess hall and a kitchen.
21.
Oh, you were in here. I didn't see your face.
Dynamic lighting. Woohoo! I'm gonna speed just so I can test it. Okay, cool. Audio's good. Audio levels
Chesting.
are great.
Chesting.
Ugh.
And we're back.
And
we're back. We still gotta do the clap slate again.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
I'm
Drew. I'm a bush.
I'm a bush.
Okay, so it'll be three. It'll
I
be
am
3, 2, 1, and
speeding.
clap. Okay.
I'm going to say clap again.
Thank you. All right. 3, 2, 1, and clap.
That's around 3 hours, 16 minutes.
Okay.
That was probably like the largest line of a clap that I've gotten so far. Like, it's a pretty long line.
Nice.
Great.
Cool. This will be great because I start working on these like tomorrow, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So to start us back off and give me an edit point.
All right. I'm going to have to restart this, I think.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry. We'll have to like reclap. I'm sorry, guys.
Okay.
Well, if you're going to restart, just make sure you save what you have.
Yeah, no, I'm yeah, that's a great idea, babe.
All right.
I'm ready to clap.
All right. Drew, are you ready to clap?
Rolling.
I am speeding again.
All right.
Wow.
Okay, same as before. 3, 2, 1, and clap.
Let's do that again.
That's why my clap was such a good like spike, because it wasn't coming from the same microphone.
Yes. This is one for the bloopers, all of the bloopers. All right.
Jesus Christ.
3, 2, 1, and clap.
I have a blip, so I'm good with that.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, that's what it. Dang it. I was totally, when I read the Only Fools Rush In, I totally like, I had the song. I was like, I know that's part of a song, but I couldn't remember what song it was. And all of a sudden it hit me. The wise men say, only fools rush in. But I can't help falling in love with kobolds.
Oh, wow. Man, you got less than a year you've got a husband and couldn't even get the...
No, she loves her dog more. I know.
Look, you understand your place in the hierarchy. That's good.
Not wrong.